Hello, my name is David Cortney, and today we're going to be discussing how to tune the tabla. Well, to begin with, let's start with the easiest first. The easiest first, of course, is how to tune the bayan. Now you notice the head has some laced here, and there's some wooden dowels in it. If your bayan does not have wooden dowels, that's the first thing you have to do. You've got to go to a hardware store, get some wooden dowels, cut them into lengths, and insert them as shown here, because this will be the only way that we will be able to control the tension. Now, the interesting thing about the bayan is you don't really tune to a pitch. The reason is when you're going to be modulating it, you're going to be going all over the place anyhow. So basically, the important thing in tuning the bayan is just to get it to a tension which is comfortable for your hands. Now, all of your tuning you can do with the gajra and the gata. If you want to increase the tension, you bring the gata down. If you want to decrease the tension, which will oftentimes happen when it becomes suddenly very dry or very hot and dry, you bring the gata up. See, that lowers the pitch. And that raises the pitch. And you basically want something where just the bayan is responsive. That's all you really need to worry about. Now, as I said, when the bayan is responsive, it's tuned. That's all there is to this. Now, the really hard one comes when tuning the dia. Now, if you notice here, I have 3 dias. One of them is a little on the larger side. This is about 6 1/4. You'll even find dias going up to 7 inches, though 6 1/4 is considered a large one. Here's a middle-sized one, which is about 5 1/4 inches, and here's a small one, which is about 4 inches and 3/4. Most tablas will be between 5 to 6 inches. So this is a little on the larger side, and this is a little on the smaller side. Now, the fact that we have different sized dias is not an accident. You need different sized dias, and you need it for a simple reason. If you want to go to a low pitch, you're going to have to go to a larger tabla. If you want to go to a higher pitch, you're going to have to go to a smaller one. No tabla is tunable over an octave range. Since no tabla can be tuned over the range of an entire octave, you're going to need at least 2 or 3 tablas, at least 3 tablas, in order to cover any tuning situation that comes your way. Now, one thing before we discuss tuning, it's important to know how the sound of tabla works and what to tune to. At this point, I presume that you understand there are different strokes. Now, let's go ahead and look at 2 strokes and see how they influence the tuning. The lowest pitch on a tabla is going to be evoked by the sound of tune. That's of no use to you, and I'll show you why it's no use to you. To begin with, tune is not that commonly played compared with the other strokes, such as na, tin, things like that. But there's also something more fundamentally a problem here. Let's listen to this pitch. Now the tabla is set to this pitch. If I play tin, it's at this pitch. If I play na, it's also pretty much at this pitch. But if I play tune, it goes up a whole step. Now that's very important, because remember, the sound of tune does not enter into the equation when you're tuning. You will tune the instrument by way of either tin or na. Okay? Now, with that in mind, you need to think in terms of what a correct tabla is going to behave. Okay, I've already said that in a correctly tuned tabla, there is going to be a tune which is usually about a step higher than we are interested, while 10 and na should be basically the same pitch. Now there's also another thing to keep in mind. Whenever you're playing tabla, with the exception of the strut for tune, you're always going to have basically a cross going on. Now this cross on the drum is generally invisible, but it can be made visible. For instance, try this experiment out. You can put some powder on the drum. Do you see the line, the powder, aggregating across here, across a line from where I had placed this ring finger? By placing your ring finger on the drum, you are inducing a node that runs across the drum. Now, remembering your high school physics, a node is a place where where you don't get a movement. So if the skin is vibrating in this fashion, the powder is going to aggregate along this line. Now, it stands to reason that if we have a node which is induced by placing this finger here, it also stands to reason that the antinodes, that's the place where the skin moves the most, will have a tendency to run this way. So always remember that the drum wishes to behave as though we are an X. Now the X is going to be coming up again and again and again when we are tuning the drum. Well, now let's take a drum which is out of tune and we're going to tune it. Here's one which I have intentionally detuned. Let's go back and again look at our X situation. If we rotate it, you see it becomes low here. It becomes high here. It becomes low again. And it becomes high. Now the interesting thing is, if we have an area which is high, it will be opposed by an area which is high. 90 degrees from that is area which is low, and across from that is another area where the pitch is low. So again, when the tabla is out of tune, we have this X pattern showing itself. Now, I can go ahead and I can equalize the tension here, and let's see what happens. One thing you may wish to keep in mind. When you're listening to the sound, there's two things you listen for. You listen for time domain events, you listen for frequency domain events. Now that's those are some big words, so let's put it simple. If you just listen to what the pitch is, you see this is high, you see that's low. When you're listening and just listening to the pitch, you're listening to what we refer to as frequency domain events. But now look what happens when we go to an area in between. I don't know if you can hear this clearly, but you hear that vibration where when it's vibrating in this manner. This is something where you're not going to listen and hear a frequency going on. Now you're listening both to time domain and frequency domain. With the time domain, you are just looking at this beating action. Now, the whole object is to keep in mind both your time domain and your frequency domain events. That is, listen both to the pitch and listen to the beating. When both the pitch of the high areas and the low areas are the same, the beating will go away. Let's show you. I take a high area, I can bring it down. Take a low area and bring it up. Now you tune this by, if you want to increase the pitch, you strike down with onto the gajra in this fashion with the hammer like this. If you want to lower the pitch, you strike from the underside. See, we have the thin area of the hammer here. That thin area of the hammer here is to facilitate striking inside from the underneath. when it is in tune, the beating goes away. There's no clearly defined high zone or low zone. That is the basic mechanics of tuning. Now sometimes you will find that by striking and striking and striking, it just will not go high enough. Or striking from the underside, you strike and strike, and it just will not go low enough. If this gudgeon does not respond, then that means you're going to have to tune your attention to this gutta here. Strike the gutta up in order to decrease the tension, or hit the gutta down in order to increase the tension. Then when we return to striking at the gudgeon, then it should respond. Now this is all fine if you just want to tune it to yourself, but in the real world, things are not that simple. We are going to have to tune it to someone we are playing with. So to begin with, we have to need to know what we're going to tune to. Now very oftentimes you will be told to tune to a C or a C sharp or B or something. Well, to begin with, you have to make sure that your tabla will go to it. Most middle-sized tablas will go C, C sharp, no problem. They can go down as low as a B, or possibly even up as high as a D without problem, but they're not going to go any more than that. If you want to go beyond that higher, then let's say a D, you're going to need a smaller tabla. Or if you're wanting to go lower than about a B, you're going to be needing a larger tabla. Now I can't tell you exactly what size, because this will vary depending upon thickness of the skin, the thickness of the black spot, and things like that. But if you have a tabla, you'll know what it is. So what you do is to tune it, just simply listen and tune according, so that your na or tin will be the pitch that you are dealing with. Well, that's about what it is involved in terms of tuning the tabla. As I said, remembering to increase the tension, you strike down. To decrease the tension, strike from underneath. If the gudgeon does not respond, then go to the gutta. Always remember that a tabla, whether tuned or untuned, will have an X pattern there. This X pattern will be most shown in an out-of-tune tabla. So the object is to equalize the tension all the way around so that there's no clear high or low areas. That is tuning a tabla in a nutshell. Thank you.